Good evening. We're starting with breaking news tonight. 4 people are dead after a helicopter crashed in the mountains south of the town of Superior. The Pinal County Sheriff's Office sharing the heartbreaking news late this evening. 12 News journalist Sean Rice has been closely following this story from the airport in Superior. And Sean, look, this story just went from bad to worse. A helicopter, all 4 on board perish, foggy conditions. But now we learn that this helicopter likely hit a slack line that was strung between 2 mountain outcroppings.
Right. Yeah, Mark, good evening to you. A lot of those questions that we had earlier this evening are coming to fruition. We're getting some answers in terms of what exactly happened, and I'll get to that slackline cause here in a moment. But it's hard to put into words just the immeasurable loss that Pinal County saw this morning, Friday morning. A helicopter taking off from an air park in Queen Creek crash lands in the Telegraph Canyon area. This is about 5 to 7 miles south of right where I'm standing at the Superior Municipal Airport. And late tonight, the sheriff's office telling us that all 4 people on board, a 59-year-old man from Queen Creek who was the pilot, and 3 of his female family members, ages 22, 21, and 21, have all perished in this awful helicopter crash. Let's take you to some Sky 12 video. Our helicopter was able to fly over the scene earlier on this afternoon. They were unable to find this actual crash site because there has been a no-fly zone that was in place and remains in place within a 4-mile radius of where that helicopter went down. The sheriff's office says it departed from Pegasus Air Park in Queen Creek earlier this morning, and this crash landing happened at around 11 a.m. We do not yet know why they were headed northeast towards the town of Superior right before it went down. PCSO says preliminary evidence shows a recreational slackline more than 1 kilometer long was strung out over a mountain range. They say an eyewitness called 911 to report seeing the helicopter strike that line and then dive down deep into the canyon, crashing. Photos from the Pinal County Sheriff's Office shows their search and rescue teams on the ground in the mountains this afternoon. They reached that crash site on foot at around 4 p.m., making that awful discovery that nobody on board made it out alive. Now, right now, there is a federal and local response. The FAA and NTSB, 2 federal agencies, will be investigating the cause of this crash. Again, preliminary evidence is that it hit a slack line, but they will make a final determination of what ultimately caused it to go down. I'm told an NTSB investigator will be on site, quote, sometime tomorrow. Now, the Pinal County Sheriff's Office has not released any names of the 4 people who perished on board. They did issue a statement, I think, echoing a sentiment that a lot of us feel all throughout the valley. They offered their thoughts and prayers with each person involved. Now, I did have someone reach out to me who informed me that one of her daughter's best friends was on board. She indicated to me that this family may be from Eastern Oregon. I have no idea why they were in this area, but I just expressed my thoughts and prayers with her, offering my sympathy that her family is no doubt going through a heartbreaking situation, just as the family members of the 4 people on board. Mark, we'll send it back to you.
How tragic. And Sean, did the sheriff's deputies mention in their news conference if someone could ultimately be charged for putting up this slack line, or is it too early?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's too early at this point. Again, they described this cause being a slack line that this helicopter hit, or at least one of the top of the helicopter may have hit, as, quote, preliminary evidence. I don't think local law enforcement agencies ultimately find an official cause until the NTSB and the FAA come in, do a ground search, and ultimately come and make a report. And so I expect this wreckage to remain on site 5 to 7 miles south of the town of Superior well throughout the evening until they can get official investigators in and determine an official cause. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Sean, thanks. Also breaking tonight, Grand Avenue is closed in both directions as police investigate a serious crash. Sky 12 was over the scene near Bethany Home Road. Glendale police tell us 2 people were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. However, one of the drivers is being investigated for possibly driving under the influence. It's unclear when Grand Avenue could reopen, Be sure and stay with 12 News overnight for updates. And breaking out of Mesa tonight, a man is dead after police say he was hit by a golf cart. It happened near Greenfield Road in Southern this afternoon. Police say that he and a woman were both in the golf cart before the crash, and then the man left the golf cart just seconds before he was hit. Both the man and the woman were taken to the hospital, but the man later died. Police believe impairment was a factor. No word yet on their identities. New tonight, burglars caught on camera breaking into a West Valley smoke shop, stealing thousands of dollars worth of vapes and other products. We're told those suspects have been arrested and charged, but police say they think they're responsible for other smash and grab burglaries around the valley. 12 News journalist Chase Golightly is here with what we are learning about this case. Chase?
Mark, please tell us this isn't the only vape shop the suspects broke into that day. And court records we obtained say these types of burglaries went on for weeks before the suspects were arrested.
On an early morning at the end of November, Token Smoke shop owner Erica James got an emergency notification on her phone saying someone broke into her store.
I came out here literally in my pajamas, and when I pulled up, the left door glass was smashed into the shop.
This surveillance video showing the moments the suspects, made up of two 19-year-olds and a 23-year-old, break into the store. One throwing a rock through the front door window, then each one climbed through, one bringing in a large black bin. All three ran to the back of the store and started throwing as much as they could into the bin before leaving.
They were in and out within a minute, and they were here for vapes, so they just cleared off 2 shelves of our supplies in the back.
Altogether, with products stolen and damage done, James says this cost their small business $17,000.
It does hurt us personally because we had to pay for everything.
Police arrived and looked at the security camera footage. To James's surprise, officers say they recognized the suspects.
They immediately knew who they were by their actions, how they broke in, throwing the bin in, the 3 individuals, their movements, it was very distinctive.
Turns out court records claim the suspects did similar smash and grab burglaries to 2 other smoke shops the same day this video was taken. Documents then claim the suspects also burglarized multiple smoke shops in December, where similar tactics were used. Using cell phone data, they were able to track the suspects to these burglary locations and got arrest warrants. When they went to arrest one of them, it writes the 23-year-old suspect tried to run from police by jumping out of an apartment window before they were taken down by the K-9 unit and brought into custody. Detectives say they found a large amount of smoke shop products, cash, and clothing worn by the suspects in the security camera footage. All 3 were arrested and face multiple charges.
Hopefully this time they actually get some jail time and have to pay restitution to make an impact statement on that.
In those court documents, it also said there were other similar smash and grab burglaries, again, at smoke shops back in May and June that may be connected to these suspects, meaning they could be facing more charges in the future. We're live in the studio. Chase Golightly, 12 News.
All right, Chase. Also tonight, we have new information after a deadly shooting involving Chandler police. Authorities say 41-year-old Gerald Philpott Jr. is the man who officers shot and killed outside the Casa del Sol apartments. That's near McQueen and Chandler Boulevard. This happened after police say he called 911 just before 5:45, making threats to harm his young daughter who was with him in the car. Once they were in the parking lot, officers urged Philpott to let his daughter out. But the threats, they say, continued, with Philpott claiming he had a knife. That's when one neighbor says he heard shots.
I looked out the window, saw them over by his truck, and then as I stepped away from the window, I heard, drop the gun, pop, 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 5 shots. I'm like, oh.
Police say a knife was found in the car. No word if there were any other weapons in the vehicle. The Mesa Police Department will now take over this investigation. Also right now, Phoenix police are still looking for a gunman after a deadly shooting at a North Phoenix strip mall this afternoon. It happened at about 1:30 near 19th Avenue in Bell. Crews found 2 men who had been shot. Both were taken to the hospital where 1 man died. There's still no word on what led to the shooting. All new tonight, multiple arrests after several deadly attacks across the valley. First, in West Phoenix, police have arrested a man in connection with a shooting that killed another man back in October. It happened near 43rd Avenue in McDowell. Police say a witness reported that 25-year-old Efrain Cuevas Jr. fired his gun multiple times after getting into an argument. That man later died at the hospital. Cuevas is being held on a $1 million cash bond after prosecutors called him a flight risk after he tried multiple times, they say, to flee to Mexico after the shooting. Also tonight, a man is in custody after police say he stabbed another man to death on New Year's Day. Police say it happened at about 2 a.m. near 16th Street and Southern. Once there, they found 34-year-old Gilbert Ray Ayanan with the second with stab wounds. Witnesses identified the suspect as 19-year-old Frank Martinez, saying he appeared to be drunk and was yelling that whoever came over was, quote, going to die. Martinez reportedly ran off and then returned with blood all over him, telling police that he had done something bad. He's now facing first-degree murder charges. Well, tonight, a reminder of the good that complete strangers can do. A couple halfway around the world accidentally left a trove of priceless family documents in a rental car. That rental car was in Austria. 12 News journalist William Pitts talked to that couple, who say they still can't believe how so many people banded together to help them.
You're on vacation, you're tired, your car broke down, you're trying to unload it. If you leave something behind, you would just think that it's gone for good, and you would be right. Except in this case, one guy made it his mission to track down the owner of some items all the way from Austria. In the middle of a long trip to Europe, Kathy Massaran and Brad Williams had issues. In northern Italy, their car broke down.
We had to actually have it towed. And then we had to get another car while we were in Verona.
Yeah, they're all speaking Italian, and we don't speak but English.
We're trying to figure out how to talk through our phone app. We forgot the documents for his parents in the car.
We'll get back to the documents in a minute. Part of the reason for Brad and Kathy's trip was Brad's mom.
She was just a phenomenal mother, and she's with me every day.
She had died in 2004. Before she did, Brad asked her if there was anywhere she'd like to rest. She said Salzburg, Austria.
I'd made the commitment to myself that eventually she was going to get to Salzburg.
21 years later, that's where Brad and Kathy were, scattering her ashes. Which brings us to the documents: a death certificate, obituary clippings, photos from the funeral.
We felt like, and we're kind of told, you need to take your death certificates and take pictures.
Otherwise, who knows what customs would think. But in the confusion of travel, it was all left behind in the rental car. Fast forward 2 months to a Facebook post, a clerk named Tomas at the car rental agency had found everything. He told 12 News company policy was to destroy it, but he knew they meant something, and that's why he posted, asking for help.
It blew up. It's amazing how many people in the community really wanted to help him find us.
150 messages, phone calls, all to help Tomas find Brad and Kathy halfway around the world. This week, they finally made contact.
It was amazing. First of all, I think it is just so incredible and heartwarming.
Tomas, who's still in Austria, didn't want to do an interview, but he said the documents will be in the mail when he gets done with work. Brad and Kathy hope one day they can thank him in person.
He's just the kind of individual you'd like to, meet, because he did something special, above and beyond. But a great guy, and someday I hope to look, or maybe we'll get a chance to meet him.
William Pitts, 12 News.
All right, Will, thanks. Good way to start out the new year.